A warm welcome to Business Daily right here on Trust Television. I am Yusuf Akogu. Let's take our business top stories. Glad to have you back. Now we give you an update of how the stock market went on Friday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The market closed positive 0.09%. The all-share index maintained very close to 70,000 basis points as it is right now, 68,143 basis points there. The volume of trade 483.489 billion, value at 8.34 billion naira in a deals of about 6,666. Actually, a huge number of trade there that exchanged hands among investors on Friday. We look at the gainers on the day. We have the likes of Owando. Owando has remained a darling of investors since that announcement of the 100% taking over of a subsidiary of NI, an Italian company, talking about Ajib Oil. 10% it gained on the day to close at 7 naira 70 kobo. Of course, if you're an investor right now with that company, you should be, finding a way to add more to your shareholding of that company. Of course, Computer Warehouse Group, CWG, software company, gaining 9.89% as well to close at 5 naira and 78 kobo. If you go down there, NIMET from the pharmaceutical sector, 9.80% it gained to close at 1 naira 68 kobo on the day. We look at the losers on the day. Of course, Chelaram is down 9.94%, close at 2 naira 90 kobo per share. We go down, Omatech on the other side today. Last week it was gaining. Today the profit takers are actually taking profit from that company. 9.38% it gained to close at 58 kobo per shares. Of course, ABC Trans 8.13% to close at 1 naira and 13 kobo. Let's look at the top traded equities as well. FCMB Group is there, the Tier 2 bank, doing 117 million volume of shares there as well. Access Bank Holdings, the mother company of Access Bank, Access Holdings, the mother company of Access Bank, 36.3 million volume of shares. And of course, Owando is also here down there, the line out, like we told you earlier, 34.2 million volume of shares. A lot of interest in that company following the recent announcement. We look at the sector performance. Of course, the banking sector is strong there, 0.14%. Of course, supported by the performance of FCMB and Access Bank. Industrial sector, 0.16%. Go down to consumer goods, 0.18%. While, of course, the oil and gas sector closed flat today. And, of course, the only losing sector is the insurance sector, down 0.43%. Let's look at the rest of Africa and see how they are doing. All of them in green day. It's green Monday in Africa today. Joburg there gaining 1% to close upward there. The basis point, the all-share index there, 73,652.67 basis points. If you go down to Ghana, down here in West Africa, we have the Ghana Stock Exchange closing 0.07% as well. While the NSC down there in Nairobi Stock Exchange also closing positive there, 1.64%. It's a green Monday in Africa. We hope that will be retained at the end of the business across many trading platforms today on the continent. Let's cross over to the stock exchange right now to talk to Jamiu Mohammed, who is a stockbroker. He joins me live from the trading floor. Good morning, Mr. Jamiu.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be on the program.
Indeed, good to have you. Let's start. How is the market doing right now? Give us the stock breakdown as it is right now.
Yes, currently, as we speak in the market is on the loser side. It means that market has lost about 0.10%, not up to 1% as we speak this morning. And the ASI has traded, the general trading in the market has shown that we have traded almost 800 million naira worth of stock this morning. And the contributor to this, we have Zenith, which has traded about 177 million. We have UBA, which has traded about 112 million. We have Access that has traded about 76 million, and Ditco traded about 72 million worth of stock. So if you look at all these figures, you will realize that we have about, as we speak, we have about 5 gainers and 13 losers. And the gainers is being led by Owando, as you rightly speak earlier, because of the transaction they had earlier last week, I think so. Also followed by Nigerian Police Force, Microfinance Bank, and followed by Jais Bank. Then the loser chart is being led by eTransact, Learn Africa, and ABC Transport. So those are the things that we have as we currently speak in the market. We believe that if you look at what happened last week, you will realize that there is a kind of increased activity in the market. Looking at about 45 billion worth of stocks were traded the whole week in the whole of last week. If you compare it to a week before that, that's 2 weeks ago, you will have about 32 billion. So there's increased activity in the market, and markets gained during the week. And as we speak this morning, we are having the market is losing right now. But that it does not mean that market may not close on the green charts.
Okay, Mr. Jamiu, like you rightly mentioned regarding the activities in the Owando, before now, that stock was not really as attractive as it were, but with the announcement last week, although that deal, there are some issues that we are hearing that is not really completely sorted out. But to you, how do you think this will add, to stock market in terms of market capitalization?
Yes, if you are talking about, let's separate the two first, the issue of market capitalization and issue around Owando and the sentiment of investor around Owando. I think as far as I'm concerned, and as far as this market is concerned, a lot of people are so skeptical about Owando transactions, whatever is coming from. And you can see what NNPC has come up to say the other day, though they have come out to clear the hair on the transaction. But the issue is that the investors are a bit they don't want to rely too much on Owando, and that is why the price was still at that level before, in the region of 5 naira, 6 naira in the I think last 2 weeks or so. So this issue as regards to Owando, they are having issue with regulator, having issue with the market, trying to sort it out with the court and all the other things around it. So, and later came in and come to say that they want to delist at 7 naira. It's something that shareholders are saying, no, it is not possible that you come and delist at 7 naira. When the last time you came to the market to come and do right, you did your right around 14 naira, if I'm not mistaken. So all these things are the issue around Owando, that investors are not so comfortable with what Owando has come up with. But as we speak today, the transaction is real, and that is then why investors are rushing it. They are going after the stock as we speak, and that is then why it's gaining 10% almost on every day on daily basis. So as we speak, it's continuing to grow up. But if you say the impact on capitalization, the way our index is being structured, the structure of our index is value-weighted index. When you have in a value-weighted index, LCI index, it is only big cap stock that affect the general capitalization of the market. So in this case now, Owando is not one of the high cap stock. They are not one of big cap stock. If you are talking of big cap stock, you talk about Dangote Cement, you talk about Bua Cement, Bua Food, and the rest. So as we speak, the impact on the general capitalization of the market is not that it's not that well fed. But as we speak, currently the price is going up, and we believe it's going to go higher than the current price is trading right now.
All right, Jamiu Mohammed, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll go into our discussion. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we go into our discussion. Today we are looking at climate change financing in Nigeria. How much more is government voting into these very critical areas? I have joining me in the studio Iorwa Appera. I hope I'm correct with that pronunciation.
Iorwa Appera.
Okay, Iorwa Appera, Country Director, FHI 360. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you.
Yes, let's go straight to the point. How vulnerable is Nigeria to climate change?
I think the effects and impacts of climate change is very obvious for all of us to see. I mean, the seasonal changes in the amount of rainfall we're having, the amount of temperature and challenges with it. The desert encroachment is quite on the increase in the north. The rains are not as much. We are having increasingly flash floods almost every year across the states, Jigawa, Benue, and a host of other states. We have floods now almost on a yearly or annual basis. What used to be a situation that will be maybe once in 3 years or 4 years, and before now, until when the Cameroon Dam is released, we never used to really have much of a flood experience, but now it's on a yearly basis. So the flash floods have increased. So the effect is there, and it comes with it the attendant challenges and that come with some of these natural disasters. The floods wash away farmlands, displace people, and then the increased pressure, and of course pushing more and more people below the poverty line.
Let's look at the peculiarity of Nigeria. If you go down the north, the climate, the weather there is different. If you go down the south, you experience the same atmosphere, different thing you also see in the southwest, in the middle belt, and of course in the southern south area of the country. How do you think these peculiarities of these peculiarities can be addressed by government?
You see, I think it's more around looking at disaster management mechanism and structures, because crisis occasioned by natural disasters can be predicted. You cannot be exact, so our Institute of Meteorology needs to be up and above in terms of properly estimating or determining when some of these natural disasters would or might occur, and to plan against them. So for instance, if you look at the floods and the flood corridor in the country, from maybe the Benue Valley or the Niger River Valley, for instance, government can be exact to what devastation that will cause, right? Those early warning signs, like rightly so, there have been a lot of publications recently announced by government that people who are living in those flood belt or areas to relocate to highlands, right? Now, what next can government do in that sense is that there are people who can afford to move. There are other people who cannot afford to move. So there must be structures in place to ensure that these people are relocated to highlands. Now, when you're moving them, you know that these people have their homes, they have farms or businesses. If there's fishing, government needs to make preparations for that and adequately ensure that when they are relocated, they do not only maintain some semblance of livelihood to keep them afloat, but there is also some measures that ensures that their economic lives are not as impacted.
All right, interesting. Let's look at the financing of climate change in Nigeria. Between 2019 and 2020, an average of just $1.9 billion was actually voted for climate change financing. That is for both by both the private sector and of course the public sector in Nigeria. This is just 11% of the World Bank recommendation of about 17.7 billion naira annually. What do you think? Do you think we are doing enough in Nigeria so far in terms of financing disaster management?
If you look at it and benchmark against the World Bank recommendation, you might say it's inadequate, right? But when you look at it holistically in terms of the amounts of money voted for, like NEMA or other institutions that will react to some of these disasters when they occur in terms of providing relief, you put it together, it's a reasonable amount, right? But you cannot say push all to preparedness and leave none to intervention. So what you need is to create a balance, and what you need is also better and stronger systems that ensure that you are adequately estimating or foreseeing when they will occur and preparing for them. And so once you're able to do that, you're able to have measures in place. Now, when you also look at the seasonality around cropping, you know, it has changed from when you expect the yields to come in. But there's not much education out there to local farmers, particularly those who are in the rural areas, to better understand the changes and to then take advantage of these changes in appropriate times of planting, appropriate times of harvesting, the kind of crops that would do well, and then the farming inputs that would then help them increase the yields in terms of improved variety, to ensure that they have enough and there's enough within the system to support continuous livelihood when the disasters occur, right? And so also increasing government's capacity to save or reserve the grains. Now, the current administration has started in the right direction by increasing, first declaring emergency on food security. It's a step in the right direction. So what you need to then do is to then begin to fund the process of ensuring that we have enhanced food production, and also fund the process that ensures that there is farmer income increases or improves, so that they are also able to replow back, fund the process of collecting or buying off this produce from the farmers and then putting it into our reserves and preserving it.
All right. Now, let's benchmark this now against the financing of fossil fuel in Nigeria. Nigeria is ranked second in Africa in terms of fossil fuel financing. That's between 2016 and 2017. Over $2.77 billion has been invested in fossil fuel financing. And we are actually moving towards a emission-free environment. Do you think this attitude of continued financing fossil fuel is the right way to go, given the explanation you have given?
I mean, I'm not a technical expert in that area. I'm a social expert. You look at it from the point of view of the impact on the environment. But also you look at it on the continuous impact on the livelihoods of people, right? So you need to create the right balance. We have our vehicles, we have our aircraft, we have a lot of it that depends on fuel. Now, what is the safest means? Nigeria is blessed with a lot of resources, alternative fuel. And the government of the day has rightly said, okay, we're going to convert all our vehicles to this and given a timeline. Much investment in that would then reduce that. So it's a balance. You cannot say stop, because then all our livelihood revolves around it, okay? So we need to come up with a concrete plan in the next 5 years at what percentage you want to reduce it in the next 15 years at what percentage you want to reduce it. And as you're reducing it, you're increasing investment in the alternative sources to increase that. So that balance has to be there. Because if you say you want to push the monies to invest in the alternative, all in, and you neglect, you will have an impact. So you need to come up with a very clear plan. In years, say in the first 1 year, this is what we need to achieve, the second 1 year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. That way, people are also prepared. Then you need to push in the right amount of funds to build in those systems, but also the amount of funds to create that awareness that people are aware, people are beginning to prepare against it, people are beginning to adjust, right? But if you just start it one-off, then the whole need to be careful.
Absolutely. Joe, you think moving away from fossil fuel, you mentioned the issue of the CNG that the government is talking about, and of course the electric vehicle as well. You think that should be the priority area or sector that government should look at?
Yes, of course. If we want a friendly environment and we want to perhaps improve on other aspects of our lives, particularly around trying to avoid some of these natural disasters, right? Like increased desert encroachment, increased flooding. If we want to sort of support and improve on those, we definitely need to begin to look elsewhere. And globally, the trend is also changing, right? We're heading towards where our oil will no longer be that much in demand. So that will have an impact on the economy.
Maybe you have to look towards gas.
Exactly. That will also have an impact on the economy, right? So you need to begin to think towards that. You need to look at gas. You need to look at not local gas consumption, but also gas production in a way that we're also exporting as an alternate to the fuel and to the oil. We have to, I mean, we would have started yesterday, I will tell you.
All right, in 30 seconds now, do you think the pace at which we are actually going, are we ready to move away from fossil fuel? the pace at which you are running. Good, this government has made some pronouncement with regard to that sector, but the pace at which they are moving, how long do you think it will take us to move away from fossil fuel completely?
It will take us a bit. Let's just be factual, right? Even advanced economies of the world, US, UK, etc., they're still on the journey.
But in our own case, there seems not to be any concrete plan on ground.
No, but the government has come up with a very clear blueprint to doing that. We must start somewhere. We will start at a slow pace, but I think, like everything we've done here, we'll get momentum as we increase the awareness, where people begin to see the value, and the government begin to create an enabling environment to allow private sector investment.
All right.
This must be private sector driven if it will gain any momentum at all. I mean, you've seen examples around the telecom. When the telecom was restricted to only NITEL, you see that the pace was slow. But once you open that against the private sector and all the GSM came in, boom, the telecommunication industry just went wild.
All right, Mr. Iorwa Appera, I think I get that correctly.
Yes,
Country Director of Fisher, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you
Quite
so
a
much.
whole lot to talk about, to discuss, but the time is really not our friend. I must thank you for your time, nevertheless.
Thank you for having me.
All right, with that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.